Scientists have recently discovered that the sound of a developing brain in a human embryo just 10 to 12 weeks after conception is full of activity. In fact, if we could listen in, it might sound much like a child with their first drum. But these staccato bursts of electricity are not random. They are coordinated waves of neural activity that actually change the shape of the brain, much the way currents mold an ocean floor. It is this activity that carves the mental circuitry of the brain into patterns that will enable a baby to see, to recognize his own parents and siblings, and eventually to talk. But when something goes wrong and the brain does not receive the right information or shuts it out completely, the results can be devastating. Dr. Ellen Morris Tiegerman of the School for Language and Communication Development explains.
A child who cannot talk cannot socialize. A child who cannot talk cannot learn to read. A child who cannot talk cannot learn to ask questions, cannot learn to raise his hand and initiate a topic or tell a story, have a conversation. So all of the things that we take for granted in talking represent very important learning aspects in this particular child. These are things that we have to specifically teach in a classroom. So conversation, storytelling, reading, mathematics are all areas that are going to be affected when you can't talk.
According to the American Speech, Language, and Hearing Association, more than 0.5% of the total U.S. population under the age of 18 has a speech and language impairment. That translates into nearly 350,000 children who face a daily struggle to communicate their most basic wants and needs. But children who are multiply handicapped, autistic, hearing impaired, speech impaired, mildly mentally retarded, or even children who are completely nonverbal or echolalic can often be successfully treated if the problem is diagnosed in time, usually before the age of 4. Often it is the parents who first realize something is wrong.
I knew that Jonathan used to echo. I would say to him, go to your room and get your ball. We're going outside to play. Well, Jonathan would repeat verbatim. Now, I knew that wasn't normal language development, but I didn't know that there was a technical name for that.
I had Jonathan through his preschool years. I had him the first year that he was in kindergarten. And then we felt that he had learned enough that he could really go back to a special education program in his school district. And he was one of the first children who transitioned through all of the special education programming and then went back to a regular program, regular school program.
Research has shown that because of the extreme malleability of the brain in the early years, even children who suffer strokes or injuries that wipe out an entire hemisphere can still mature into highly functional adults. In fact, through various kinds of therapies, including music, dance movement, auditory training, and creative arts, a remarkable 96% of all children attending the School for Language and Communication Development eventually return to their regular schools for educational programming.
For me, the proof is in Jonathan. Now, when I sell SLCD, when I go to someone and I say, this school works, well, how does it work? How does it work as compared to any of the other programs, any of the other charities? Why is SLCD, worthy of being recognized and acknowledged as compared to other agencies and programs? And what I say is, look at Jonathan, look at this child, look at how he couldn't talk, he couldn't communicate 7 or 8 years ago. And look at him now, look at his potential. 7 or 8 years ago, he didn't have a potential, he didn't have a future.
I'm a 13-year-old child. I can make a difference. I can be a person that can finish and do whatever I want.